The Community Environmental Council evolved out of a network of community organizations and agencies, all of whom had degrees of interest in and concern for the environment. We have a vision that Macon County will be a community whose citizens, government, and businesses accept responsibility and provide local leadership for the protection of the environment, with focuses on energy, land, water, and the air. The Community Environmental Council is working with the Illinois Environmental Council to try to accomplish these visions. We are here tonight to increase our understanding of how global warming will impact our community, our economy, and our health. Also, we will learn about legislation at the state level that will help us to address this problem. This is an opportunity to hear from our local representatives about how we can work together to reach our goals, and this is an opportunity for you to have your say.
AWI, for those of you not familiar with our organization, the Agricultural Watershed Institute, actually grew out of local city farm cooperative efforts to protect Lake Decatur. The problems and opportunities that we face trying to keep sediment and nutrients and pollutants out of Lake Decatur, those problems are widespread in the Corn Belt and beyond. And successful solutions that we find and demonstrate locally can be widely applied. We view our role as to try to find solutions that are what we would describe as win-win-win solutions. That's social, economic, and environmental, sometimes referred to as the triple bottom line. And we believe that some of the things that we're working on do that. We became interested in perennial energy grasses as a way to get grasses, with good, deep, root systems onto the landscape to help protect water quality and help enhance wildlife habitat, increase biodiversity, and certainly energy grasses, the perennial grasses, native prairie grasses, and others can do that. But also they can provide renewable energy benefits and greenhouse gas reduction benefits. And as I'll mention, those benefits will be significant for the overall economic viability of perennial energy crops. Production and use of perennial energy crops can provide multiple benefits, including renewable energy with reduced greenhouse gas emissions, protection of soil resources, enhanced water quality, biodiversity, and wildlife habitat, increased and diversified farm income, and sustainable economic development. And so we modestly have chosen for ourselves the task of doing research and development to figure out how to do that well, how to achieve and optimize that range of benefits. And that's the task that we've set for ourselves for the coming years. So basically, land that is not optimal for crop production can be very good for growing perennial energy grasses, and that land can in fact benefit by having that perennial crop on there. Where does the greenhouse gas benefit come from? The greenhouse gas benefit comes from growing the energy grasses that help sequester carbon in the soil, reduces the amount of fossil fuels that are used for planting, fertilizing, and tillage in agricultural crops, and significantly, you can use energy crops to replace fossil fuels, thereby replacing fossil carbon with contemporary carbon, recycled carbon. We aspire to develop a local bioenergy movement that's in many ways comparable to the local food movement. We see a lot of benefits and economic opportunities for farmers and entrepreneurs. We would like Decatur, and we think it's reasonable to have Decatur be in the forefront of this, just as Decatur was in the forefront of introducing the soybean to Illinois agriculture a century ago, and corn ethanol in the 70s and 80s. So we think this is a really exciting opportunity. We think that individuals and groups that are interested in this will be able to get involved, and I hope that a year from now we'll be talking about planting significant acreage of energy grasses and the opportunities that that will provide.
This is such a big problem. Shouldn't this be done at the federal level? Shouldn't there be something comprehensive done at the federal level? And my answer to that is yes, that's absolutely how it ought to be done. Unfortunately, it's not happening at the federal level. Without the leadership at the national level, it's incumbent upon all of us to try to do what we can, which in this case is to try to work at the state level and be able to try to accomplish something here. A lot of the business groups say, well, it creates an uneven playing field. Why, if we do something in Illinois and Indiana hasn't done it, all the businesses and all the jobs are going to go there. But I think one way that we're really trying to look at these issues now is focus more on the opportunities that exist. And certainly when we're talking about energy concerns, which is where most of a lot of the greenhouse gas emissions come from, is the energy sector. If we're able to have a more energy efficient economy here in Illinois and here in central Illinois, then in the economy that we're in, both nationally and globally, that is one of the best ways that we can position ourselves in order to be competitive, for our local businesses to be more competitive. In the manufacturing sector, energy is typically the #1 input that they have in what they're producing. And if we're able to reduce that, reduce the costs, again, more competitive. If we're able to reduce the energy use that we all have in our own lives, in our homes and in our vehicles, it's more money in our pockets, more money that we can spend locally in the local economy, which again translates into more jobs. The specific legislation that we've been working on, House Bill 5254, which was mentioned, it's called the Global Warming Response Act, and this contains a number of policies, all of which were vetted through the Climate Change Advisory Group that the governor convened a couple of years ago. In the statewide building code, a couple of years ago, we were able to get put in place energy standards for commercial buildings, but we weren't able to do it for residential buildings because of some of the opposition that was there. So now we're trying to go back and say, if you're going to build or do a major remodeling of a residential building, let's build it to the best energy standards that we can. There will be a small upfront cost, but the energy savings over the 30 or 40 or 50 years that home is in existence are far going to outweigh the upfront cost. What we're talking about here is putting in place an emission standard which cleans up the tailpipe emissions for the cars. And the best way to be able to do that is to make the cars more fuel efficient. And so far there's 14 states around the country. Those states cover about 42% of the U.S. population. We'd like to add Illinois onto that list, make us 15th. That would take the footprint for that standard up to about 47–48% of the U.S. population. And again, if enough states do this, it gets to the point where the auto manufacturers say, we're just going to have to go to this standard. We're not going to build two different types of cars, one for the clean car states and one for the other kinds of states. This is a big bill, and it's going to take a lot to get this done. And that's part of the reason why we put on this event this evening to try to invite you all in to be able to learn more about this issue, but also to say that if you think that this is a problem and you think it needs to get addressed, that one of the best ways that you can do it is to get involved and to reach out to your legislators and let them know that you think this is a problem and you would like them to think that it's a problem. There are little things, obviously, that we can do in our day-to-day lives. We can, swap out our incandescent light bulbs for our compact fluorescent light bulbs. But ultimately, what it's going to take to solve a problem this big, it is going to take government action. And it is going to take ensuring that rather than us trying to make the little choices that we can, which are all important, that the bigger choice is, rather than worrying about which light bulb is more efficient, that all the light bulbs on the market are more efficient. And rather than worrying about which car we're going to buy and what the fuel mileage is on that car, ensuring that all the cars that are on the market are more fuel efficient.